Last night, trying to put my son to bed. He's like, no, Dad, what time? What time's Charlie gonna be here? What time? And I'm like, dude, you're in school tomorrow. He's 13. He's like, no. This morning, wakes up at 6 something. He's like, I'm coming. I'm like, he literally would not leave the house.
Did you let him take off school?
No, he did. Of course not. He's not here for a good reason. But the point is,
you canceled school for like 2 years. One day.
The point is the point, which is you are making a damn dent.
Thank you. I'm kidding.
Several months later.
A fan of Charlie Kirk. What was the conversation like between you and your son after Charlie Kirk was assassinated?
Well, he called me. I don't know how he got a phone, but he called me from school that day, really alarmed. And all his friends were around the phone that wanted me to somehow express or understand what was going on. He wanted to know if he was dead. He wasn't a fan of him as much as he was familiar with him.
He is the fakest person I think I've ever met in my entire life. So synthetic, and honestly, that's very dangerous, like incredibly dangerous. Like he's the type of person that could just like stare at you like, oh yeah, I voted for Trump, and just like pass a lie detector test. That is very, very dangerous. You know, just stone cold, just like no inhibitions whatsoever when it comes to deceit or lying or misleading. But again, Gavin wants to be president. So this is him trying to recover from, the damage that he got after the podcast I had with him.
Nothing I dislike more than the politician that sits there and lies to you. And we all just sit there rolling our eyes going, give me a break.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So once again, we got to talk about lying, greasy, douchebag, used car salesman, con man politician Gavin Newsom, who is doing an interview with Meet the Press in which he is confronted on the same question that anybody thinking about running for president in 2028, if you're a Democrat, is going to have to answer, which is about Joe Biden's cognitive decline and the cover-up that was orchestrated by the White House and the Democrat Party. And once again, Gavin Newsom is going to lie to the American people with a straight face because he is a con man, okay? I don't understand why anybody would vote for this guy or believe anything that he says, okay? He desperately wants power and control, and again, he will lie about anything in order to get it, including but not limited to his own son being a fan of Charlie Kirk. As you guys saw at the beginning of this video, Gavin Newsom claimed that his son was a fan of Charlie Kirk. Big fan. That is when Gavin Newsom thought that for his political career, it'd be a good idea to pretend to be a moderate. He got backlash from the far left, okay, and now he's going full-blown Trump derangement. That is the only way that you can win a Democrat primary at this point. And now it's, well, my son wasn't really a fan of Charlie Kirk, right? All that has changed, okay? Again, this guy will literally lie about anything, again, including the cognitive decline of Joe Biden, of the President of the United States, which is what he's going to do in this interview with Kristen Welker. And this question for Democrats is not going to go away. Like I told you guys before, it will keep coming up, and that's in fact what is happening. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this.
A little bit about your future, the future of the Democratic Party. You have been very clear that yes, you are considering a potential run for president in 2028. I think it's fair to say that anyone who decides to run in 2028, including former President Biden's surrogates, are going to have to answer questions about what they did and what they said in 2024 around President Biden's presidency. You stood by him till the end after that disastrous debate performance, even when top Democrats were calling for him to step down. Did you ever have concerns, Governor, about his capacity
I go home
to
with
serve another 4 years?
No, I never had that direct. I just talked to the president a few hours ago. I've been privileged to have a relationship with the president. I spent almost 2 hours with him in December, right before, during the transition in the Oval Office. And my experience, his expression, gave me no pause, no doubt. Let me finish. I was proud to stand there, proud to make the case for 15.4 million jobs, proud to make the case for the Chips and Science Act, the industrial policy that was worker-centered, proud to make the case for an infrastructure package that actually delivered a real bill and is delivering real jobs all across this country. Proud to stand tall as he was a counter prevailing point to President Xi and what they're doing in low carbon green growth and how they're going to dominate the future as it relates to green energy. And he was a counter prevailing point. I was proud of the fact that he supported 400 bipartisan bills. It did more for vets and has started to address the issue of gun violence. I was proud of that legislative package of accomplishments. The one exception as it relates to the interaction I had with him that gave me pause, one, was the fundraiser in Southern California. And all of us were a little taken aback, but we also were mindful that he had been to Europe twice in about a week. And for the grace of God, go any of us with jet lag and being exhausted. That person came back on that debate night. And that certainly gave all of us pause.
If it gave you pause after the debate, why didn't you sound the alarm then?
I did privately, we with grace and humility. He was going to make the right decision. And so for me, it wasn't my job to go out there. My job was to let him, give him the space. I just have a different, good people can disagree. I have a different approach to all of this. And I lost my father. I lost him right around election for governor. He survived just to see me elected. So many of the attributes of my father I remember. He reminds me so much. I'll be candid with you. This is me speaking as a human being. Reminds me of Joe Biden. I wasn't going to do that to him. He was going to make the right decision, and he did. Question is the timing, okay. But the bottom line, I was proud and continue to be proud to make a case for his record, and certainly in contrast to the record of this president.
Governor, did you legitimately believe that he was capable of serving as president until January of 2029?
Yeah, I think my focus was frankly situational. It was making sure Donald Trump didn't get back into office to experience everything that we're experiencing today. And there was no interaction I had that suggested otherwise.
Wow. So once again, we have Gavin Newsom basically lying to Kristen Welker's face, right? Even though he acknowledges that, hey, everybody hates when politicians sit here in a lot of people's faces, right? Like, I'm having that moment, like a come on, man moment, right? That same moment that he talked about in this interview, right? I'm having that moment right now because this is the face of a liar. He's a liar. He know damn well that he knew that Joe Biden was cognitively declining. He knew that Joe Biden was not fit to continue to be president of the United States. But yet in this interview, when asked about whether or not Joe Biden was actually capable of being president until 2029, the answer to the question is yeah, right? Yeah, that's what it sounds like he said to me, right? Really, Gavin, do you really believe that? Right? You really believe that? Again, these people have no shame. They have no shame.
You say to Americans who feel misled by you and other top
misled
Democrats
in what respect? He decided to step
about the
down.
mental acuity of President Biden, that they wish you'd sounded the alarm sooner to give way for
I never
an
experienced.
open
Look,
convention?
I'm not going to substitute myself for someone else or for popular opinion. I'm going to express my relationship to my truth with the former president of the United States, including at the end of his term, quite literally, in December, which was a masterclass of foreign policy and domestic policy, which I will never forget as we walk through not just the election, but we're walking through the world we're living in. There was nothing to suggest what you just said or others have suggested in terms of my interaction. That's all I can be accountable for.
Wow. So basically what he's saying is that, well, I didn't see it, right? The only time I saw it was at the fundraiser. I think that same fundraiser that George Clooney and all the other Democrat plutocrats came out and said that, oh, well, Biden wasn't having a good night right that night. They were all concerned about Joe Biden. Well, just that night, right? But throughout the rest of his presidency, I didn't see anything, right? He was awesome. He was amazing. Again, in fact, he could have served to 2029, right? The most important concern was not about whether or not Biden could actually serve. It was Trump, right? It was stopping Trump, okay? That is what Gavin Newsom is telling the American people. Again, I don't know how anybody can listen to a Democrat continue to gaslight the American people on Biden and think that they're going to be straight with you on any other issue, right? I mean, this is the same party that doesn't know the difference between a man and a woman, right? They don't know the difference between a man and a woman. They lied about the border. They lied about inflation. They lied about all of the disasters that happened during their administration, and they're lying about Joe Biden. They lie about everything, okay? If a Democrat's mouth is moving, they're lying. So, again, how can you trust these people with anything? How can you trust Gavin Newsom with solutions when he's ruined his own state, okay? He's ruined his own state. The Democrats ruined the country. We're still dealing with that, right? That's what we're dealing with right now. When people talk about what's going on right now in this country, all of that is a residual of the Biden administration, Democrat policies. It hasn't even been enough time for the American people to really experience the results of President Trump's policy. I mean, they just passed the Big Beautiful Bill, which is the signature economic legislation of the Trump administration. They just passed that, this summer? There hasn't been enough time for anybody to really experience what the Trump economy is going to be like. Remember, when the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was passed, it took a couple years for America to recover from the economic disaster, or put it this way, economic stagnation that we experienced under Obama, right? The economy really started to take off in 2019, and going into the beginning of 2020, the economy was on fire, right? Until COVID happened, okay? And we all know how that story ended, but again, it took a couple years. That's my point. So don't let these Democrats gaslight you into believing that they have solutions to the current problems right now that are caused by their piece of legislation, right? All the things that Gavin Newsom is bragging about. Oh, Joe Biden was so great because he did this, he did that, and I'm proud of it. What he's actually saying is that he's proud of all of the bad things that have happened in this country, the current state of the economy right now, the things that we're dealing with, the problems we're dealing with right now in this country are a result of all the things that Gavin Newsom apparently is proud of, right, when it comes to Joe Biden. And that's why he didn't have any concerns about Biden's mental decline, even though it was clear that he was not fit to continue to serve, okay?
Talk about former Vice President Kamala Harris. She says she lost because she only had 107 days to run, among some other factors. In your view, why do you think she lost the 2024 race?
It's a deeper forensic. I think I'm up to 26 pages of other people's opinions on it. I'm not even making that up. By the way, it's, I think, actually 24, to be fair. Let me not overstate it. And there's all kinds of theories. I mean, we can go, you want to go through the list? We'll need an extra hour.
What do you think was at the top of the list?
I don't know. I'm reflecting on it. I think time will have a more of an understanding. We can start with inflation. We can talk with interest rates. We don't talk about interest rates enough. We can talk about incumbency. We can talk about Israel. We can talk about immigration and the border. We can go through a myriad of lists.
Again, all of these things, all these problems that he's talking about, right, in regards to why Kamala lost, Democrat policies that he just said that he's so proud of, right? He's proud of everything that Biden did. But yeah, he is admitting that, yeah, well, the reason why Kamala lost is because of the actual results of those policies. Just remember, these people are incoherent. When they come out here and they talk about Trump, that just remember, they are the reason why the country's in the current state that it is, and President Trump is fixing it. And it takes time to fix it.
We can talk about Joe Rogan. We can talk about woke. We can talk about the 107 days. We can talk about the lack of an open primary. We can talk about The View. Again, I'm on page 6 of the 24 pages. And how you unpack that, how you stack that.
Also, these hand gestures are weird, right? I mean, he's getting into Tim Walsh territory in regards to what he's doing with his hand. I mean, it's a complete and total joke. I mean, he's getting roasted.
But he iterates. He throws things out. And we see how people react. Once a mind is stretched, it never goes back to the original form. And that's my concern. The more we're talking about this, and we need to be. Look what he's doing with masked agents. Look what he's doing with polarizing the guard. Look what he's doing tonight in voter suppression. Look what he's doing with the DOJ. Look what he's trying to do to rig the election in North Carolina, in Missouri, and there next month, not just in Texas. Look what he's doing in terms of the 200 all the pardoning, all of this great drift, the biggest most administration history, not just foreign.
By the governor of California, Gavin Newsom.
So I'm glad that you asked the question. I'm gonna go as American Psycho. Patrick Bateman has got to be what I'm going as. This foolishness, this recklessness by Donald Trump, nobody should be dressing up. Because, Alex, when they go low, we got to go even lower.
Okay. Yeah, I think this guy is legitimately a sociopath, right? I really do believe this dude is American Psycho. He really is.
terms of everything, I think needs still a little bit more forensics, a little more analysis.
Do you think if former President Biden had stayed in the race, given that you did stay with him till virtually the end, do you think he could have won?
I think the prevailing winds there were a lot of headwinds. And people were looking for something fundamentally different. They were looking for change. I think the inflation scars were real. I think if I think about my own surrogacy, I talked about the aggregate a lot. I talked about the economy that was booming. It was the best economy since the 1960s, the lowest black unemployment, lowest unemployment for women, lowest unemployment for people with disabilities, the lowest uninsured rate in American history. We had cut child poverty in half. That all happened during the Biden-Harris administration. I was making those points. I was making the point around GDP. I was making the point that inflation was cooling after the inflation scars at 9.1 and moving in the right direction. I was making the point around the American experience in the aggregate, not what American people were experiencing. And I think that was a legit disconnect in terms of the campaign.
No, you were lying. That's what you were doing. You were using fake numbers, fake statistics that were propped up by the Biden government that had a bunch of fake jobs that we know for a fact were fake because 1 million of them got wiped out in one of the latest labor reports. Okay, jobs that just did not exist. Under Biden, he got credit for it. And again, that's what you were doing. Okay, you were lying and you were using fake numbers. That is why there was a disconnect.
Our communication and others that would have made it a very challenging election.
Here's the thing. Biden's policies can't be so great, right? The Democrat policies can't be so great, but then you turn around and you admit that, yeah, the American people didn't feel great. So again, clearly the policies weren't great, right? Clearly what Gavin Newsom is so proud of did not work out well for the American people.
Her book, the former vice president writes that she scrambled to reach prominent Democrats hours after President Biden exited the race. And she said that you responded to her call, quote, by saying, Gavin Newsom hiking will call back. He never did. Is that what happened?
100%. And I sent out an endorsement in a few minutes after that. It was one of her first endorsements. The reason she was calling. I've known Kamala all my life. The last person she needs to reach out to is me. So I learned the news. I wanted to get in touch with the Biden folks. I was out on an actual hike. And I said, I was like, Kamala, you got 1 million people to call. And we were literally working as she reached out. It was a voicemail, by the way, unknown number for the record. And as
you've known her all her life, but yet it was an unknown number, right? Really? Really? Unknown number. You know her all her life, but yet you don't have her number. Interesting. She called you from an unknown number. Wow. This dude can't even get his lies straight, bro. His lies don't even make sense. He did not want to endorse her. Like a lot of Democrats didn't want to endorse her because they don't really like her like that, right? I mean, that's probably what really happened.
She was on to her next calls. We were already on to our press release endorsing her. So I don't even know why that was even in the book.
Did you feel like she took a swipe at you in her book?
It's all good. We've known each other for 20 years, and I think it's familiarity. I think she was having a little fun.
So no hard feelings.
Oh my
that
God,
she wrote
just the
that.
opposite. Give me a break.
You've said, as we've discussed.
Yeah. So you see that, you heard that. Okay. This dude, man, I don't understand how anybody can fall for this, but there are people who will fall for it, right? At this point, if Democrats, again, if they can't admit the truth about Joe Biden, you can't trust them on anything. But again, the sad reality is that the Democrat Party voters, they probably don't care, right? To be honest with you, they don't care about Democrats lying to them, right? In fact, that's what they want. They want Democrats to lie to them, right? Biden was amazing, right? Everything under Biden was amazing, okay? They don't care about the truth. They don't care about reality. And Gavin Newsom is just giving them what they want. In a sense, Gavin Newsom is like the perfect candidate for the Democrat Party, the ultimate gaslighter, right? that is essentially what Gavin Newsom is running as at this point, right? So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.